So we created a product. I think that was one of my first lessons, is when you're going to create a product, make sure that there is a need first. Think market first. And then make sure that you create the product. Try not to come up with a product first and then think about, well, who am I going to sell it to? That's a little bit us about. It's always market first. What do they want to buy? Make sure that there's a hungry market, and then give them what they want. So we created a product called the Metastock Programming Study Guide, and it was our first product. It was a physical product. It took us probably about 6 months to write. We sold it. It was an information-based product, and that was another one of those early learnings for me. Information-based product is some of the best products that you can sell, and regardless of what business you're in, it's always a good idea to see where can you create information-based product in your business. So how can you create DVDs that teach people how to do things? How can you create manuals? Because they're fantastic supplements to the core business that you're already doing. They've got fantastic margin. Typically an information product might cost you $10 to make, but potentially you could sell it for a couple of $100. For example, the Metastock Programming Study Guide, we sell that for $297, but it probably costs us about $30 to actually create and then fulfill and ship. So, I mean, there's great margins in it. It's very scalable as well. It's not dependent on my time. A lot of you, when you first start a business, you're capped by how much work you can do, and we were talking about this on the car ride up here. There's only so much work that you can do when it's dependent on you delivering that service. So you start off delivering the service, getting your cash flow right. Really important to make sure you get your cash flow right, but then you need to start to think about, how can I create these information-based product or other streams? It doesn't even have to be info product, but basically create income that can be generated through selling of something that isn't necessarily dependent on you. So we created the Metastock Programming Study Guide, and then we ended up, was probably just before I was 20, we toured around Australia and did seminars in each of the different states, and the final one we recorded, and we recorded and made it in DVD. So that was our second information product. So for me, this product, it was great. It sold really well in our immediate community. A lot of people picked it up, and we were getting some great feedback from it. And then my next lesson came when I started to realise the sales started to slow down. And then I realised, it was a little bit of an aha moment when I realised the money really is in the marketing, because you can have that fantastic product, you can have a great service, you can have people raving about it, but unless you get the word out far enough to new people, then you're not going to make any money. It needs to get in front of the right audience, and that's when I realised the money was in the marketing. And I started going and attending a whole lot of workshops, just like you. Like whenever there's a workshop on, I'll go and consume as much as I can. Constant, never-ending improvement. If you're a Tony Robbins fan, constantly consuming information and just getting better. So I started attending all of these different workshops. One of the first ones was a workshop run by a guy called Brad Sugars, and he runs the Action International Business Coach, and he had this thing in Brisbane, I think it was Brisbane, on the Gold Coast, and it was Billionaire in Training, and got some really good lessons from that. And that's when I really sort of started to form my ideas of how to make money.